Oded is a senior executive in the financial services sector with over 20 years of experience. He has a proven track record of building and leading profitable organizations. Oded's experience includes senior executive positions at Manulife Financial, Canaccord Wealth Management, CIBC Wood Gundy, and Merrill Lynch Canada.
Welcome, Mr. Orgil, and I think you can share your screen. Yeah, from Falls Blackchain, Canada.
That's correct.
Thank you so much for supporting our conference. Yeah,
it's my pleasure. First of all, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So thank you very much for having me today. It's a pleasure to speak to everyone. I will also say, after hearing some of the other guest speakers and particularly even Professor Chuck, and my conversation will be from a high level and specifically talking about our company, but he's touched on some very, very interesting points in a very unbiased manner. So as my name is Oded Orgil. I am CEO of Falls Blockchain Corp. We are, a renewable energy crypto or digital assets mining company, but more importantly than that, we're vertically integrated blockchain enterprise. We have a number of verticals to our company. We were founded, formally in 2017, but in 2015, my partner and our chief technology officer, Kevin Day, looked at an old facility in an abandoned, underutilized paper mill town of British Columbia in Western Canada, and looked at converting it into a digital mining facility. And some of this will resonate through the points of what I talked about, what's very interesting about crypto mining as well as blockchain in general. But as I mentioned, we formally were incorporated in 2017, starting off as a digital asset miner, but also looking at over time hosting a portfolio of Web 3.0 assets in a very environmentally conscious and friendly manner. Our mission is to bring user-friendly blockchain applications and solutions to the world through our action and innovation. And our long-term vision is we do see a digital world that's globally connected, sustainable, and empowering everyone, enabling accessible and self-governed ownership of digital assets and goods around the world. So, as I mentioned, how we got started was Kevin Day is a bit of a history buff. He identified this very small ghost town, Ocean Falls, which had a tremendous history to it. It actually had located the first indoor swimming pool in Canada in the early 1950s. It had a large hotel, but it was a pulp and paper mill town. And over time, as this industry disappeared, the town became very much a ghost town. We approached the town. We worked with the power provider. It's a publicly traded company of off-grid power called Borlex, and we looked to, over time, help to transform and revitalize that town. And that is our long-term objective, as well as our business is to help revitalize that town. As well as there's a community nearby called Bella Bella, which is a First Nations Indigenous community. And that's something that has been impacted tremendously by the evolution of the disappearance of the pulp and paper mill industry in Canada, that many of these small communities have really suffered. So we do see, as we grow and develop and incorporate blockchain and our digital asset business, that we hope to revitalize these towns and really bring some life back to these older communities. If we look at what we believe is our core values, in order to succeed in the world, we do believe in integrity and ethics. We don't think that without these sort of values, you cannot move forward. It's important that we have a principled, honest approach in doing the right things across all the initiatives that we as a company lead. We believe blockchain should be accessible for all. We think that this is a very exciting, I'm sure like everybody on this call, it's a very exciting, interesting technology. and it is barrier removing. It will allow a leveling of the playing field for many, many individuals. So it's a keystone to what we do across all our different verticals as we move forward as a company. We believe very much in supporting sustainable and decentralization from clean energy power. We'll talk a little bit about that, which fuels our mining operations, to the adoption of the Web 3.0 solutions in other verticals that we employ in our ecosystem. And finally, we're excited about taking on the challenge. And with emerging technologies and continuous innovation cycles, the pathways are very different and undetermined. Again, we heard that in our last presenters. Shying away from doing what's difficult is not a recipe for success. And we're big believers that, we will take on difficult paths, but it will be rewarding in the end. So what is sustainable crypto mining? First, if I may, I'll just take, and again, I'm sure we've heard this all before, we do know that the crypto mining industry continues to grow. These are just some high level numbers that we see the growth in the mining of the hardware, the actual mining size, the year-over-year growth rate, and it does go through its tremendous volatility, but this is the current state of the mining, and we do see it do nothing but growing, over 58% CAGR over the next 6 to 7 years. So again, looking at what is our version of sustainable mining. As I mentioned earlier, the Ocean Falls facility now has been around for over 100 years, initially built as a pulp and paper mill industry on the BC coast. And for those of you who are unaware, British Columbia and Western Canada was very much, a mainstay as far as that goes in the pulp and paper mill industry. The BC government took over the property in 1980. The actual facility is now owned by a private enterprise, and they are both the landlord and the power provider of that location. But it has always been powered by 100% hydroelectric and zero carbon offsets. We work, as I mentioned earlier, with both the local governments, the provincial governments, as well as the regional communities, to make sure that we have their approval and we work with them. We do care about the environment. We want to grow. And as part of our commitment to that sustainability, even our mining is part of an environmentally ESG Terra Pool. So we believe, again, it's very, very important to walk the walk and talk the talk. We're also a very proud member and founder of the Crypto Climate Accord, which is, again, a group of, private private companies, again, committed to the sustainability and the movement forward of environmentally correct crypto mining. We have a second facility that we are working on right now that we are just in the process of building up. Again, it is 100% hydroelectric power, partnering with West Coast Marine Terminals. This is on Vancouver Island. It's in the lower part. If you can see my pointer, that is the new facility. And this will allow us to further grow. And again, continuing to work with the local community as well as the First Nations groups in that area to not only create jobs and opportunities for people in operations, but also more high-level jobs, technical web development as we move into some of our blockchain applications going forward. So how are we sustainable? How is Ocean Falls specifically sustainable? Currently, we are 100% clean, renewable energy from hydroelectricity. As I mentioned to you, our Ocean Falls facility has had a dam there for over 100 years. We don't expect any new infrastructure at all in that facility. In fact, currently, our facility is only operating 2 megawatts. We look to grow to 7, and the dam itself can actually grow to over 20 megawatts. So right now, it's currently being underutilized. And we're looking to grow that, again, without causing any harm to the environment. The power, as I mentioned earlier, if I didn't, is off-grid. So it's underutilized. It's not taking any energy away from the local residents. In fact, we're working with them to increase the power supply and allow them to grow their community over time so that it's very much a symbiotic relationship. We don't require any carbon offsets. Some companies, some miners do use a mix of renewable and non-renewable energy mix. That's not our model. Our model is 100% renewable. I'll talk a little bit about some other opportunities that we see as well moving forward. And again, we currently also, so I know the comment was made earlier about where does Bitcoin mining, how much power is it used? I mean, these are some interesting commentary that goes out there. I'm not a technical person. It's my belief, very simply, that we are dealing with blockchain, that it is a new technology. And in any new technology, there are inefficiencies. But as we promote and encourage the building of these new facilities and of these new technologies, what we're going to be able to do is, I apologize. There we go. There we go. What we're going to be able to do as we promote these technologies is help to create, through a variety of different areas, is create efficiencies over time in a far better manner and allow us to progress in so many different ways. Some of the different areas, and again, that over time, that efficiencies can improve in Bitcoin mining, immersion cooling. Again, it's probably been, many of the people on this call are aware of it, but it's the opportunity basically to dip these chips in a liquid, a dielectric oil, which again, that will allow, first of all, the machines to run much more quickly. It allows, again, the opportunity for heat to be recycled in a variety of forms. And we've actually had some interesting research and development on this end. In the location that we're in Ocean Falls, there is actually a fish farm literally right next door to us. We have had preliminary conversations with them about recycling some of our heat as we move forward on the immersion cooling to allow them to heat, again, the small salmon that are grown there, and to allow them to be, to recycle this heat to, again, create a far more robust ecosystem where, again, Bitcoin mining, blockchain all work together in the environment and help to grow things over time. I'm sure everybody on the call has heard about crypto winter and what is crypto winter. Again, really what that is again, it's part of the boom bust that we experience. I think in many ways, I originally come from the capital markets. We've seen this in stock markets. It's, again, experienced much more violently, perhaps in new technologies, such as, blockchain and Bitcoin mining. Been, a variety of crypto booms and busts over the last 15 years. Again, they're no different from the capital markets. What we do see is, again, this is some of the FOMO or greed and fear that comes into every new asset class. But over time, I think what we'll see is that if we provide stable hydroelectric costs and we look at these opportunities, that these boom busts will evolve over time and they will not become near as dramatic. We personally have been able to survive these. I believe that these things, the crypto winters are healthy. They take out the weak players. They take out dirty miners. They take out individuals who are really in it, perhaps not for a business, not for the long term, but again, maybe are just looking at a quick buck or not really looking at a long-term sustainable enterprise. And we truly believe that mining will be a long-term sustainable enterprise over time. So looking at the future, both for us and others, as I mentioned, I do believe there is a movement throughout the world. There is a movement that over time, and we truly believe this, we want to do well for our investors and ourselves, but we want to do good as much as possible. And crypto winters will clean out dirty crypto miners. There will be more and more opportunity, whether it's solar, geothermal, hydroelectric power, to allow for more sustainable miners over time. I hope everyone heard me before. We've joined the Terra Pool. We are proud members of the Crypto Climate Accord, which sets standards for decarbonizing and making the industry far more, again, part of the world order and far more of where we want to move as we keep going. We know that the ecosystem is growing, financial services firms increasingly accepting crypto assets as payment options. I heard earlier, again, it is a mix right now between a currency and an asset class. I see it, Bitcoin specifically, as more of an asset class, but I see other digital assets growing and truly becoming payment options. for the world as we move forward. We believe, again, I've mentioned this earlier, that we are in a very small town. That's a wonderful picture of Ocean Falls and the facility. But we work together with the community. It's very, very small right now. Our hope is to grow the community as they help build out our operational efforts. We work with the First Nations very, very closely and look to sustainable blockchain. I hope I'm not going to lose everybody over time. Again, there's the opportunity for both proof of stake, proof of work is what we focus on right now. But we believe there's going to be tremendous opportunities in a variety of industries that can be disintermediated, whether it's retail, insurance, creating supply chains to help reduce fraud and other inefficiencies. Government regulations or incentives are only going to be a positive. We saw last week the federal government in the United States, again, saw incentives for solar powers and other opportunities on the renewable energy side. I think this is healthy for the industry. It will continue to grow. And over time, I think the improved demand response of energy providers will demand more renewable and efficient energy consumption. I think that's my time. I apologize that I was missed there again and my internet dropped. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Again, our email is accessible. Our phone number is right there in our website. We're excited about opportunities. And again, I apologize for the knockoff, but I want to thank you everybody again for allowing me to participate today.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Any questions from Mr. Orgil? I cannot see any questions, but I have a question. As I mentioned in my presentation, I mentioned that huge a part of Bitcoin mining is done in China, especially with hydropower in Sichuan. So do you have any competition with them? My first question is this. And the second one, for your equipment, do you buy your equipment from China or Eastern countries? And do they have any effects on your business in this context? Thank you.
So thank you. There's a variety of questions there. I'll try to be very brief. You may or may not be aware that again, last year, China, approximately just over a year ago, actually banned much of its crypto mining operations. They continue to go on in certain provinces in China. So there is competition from around the world. What I will say is what we have seen over the last 3 or 4 years is historically, mining operations gravitated to the lowest cost of power, which is natural as a business person. However, what we have seen over the last few years, that more and more of the mining has moved in North America. And I think the reason is, although the cost of power is higher here, you do have rule of law and rule of capital markets. There was mining done very cheaply for power in Venezuela, sometimes in Iran, I've heard in parts of the Middle East and China. And separate, but we're seeing, again, people are looking for stability of power and stability of rule of law, because I've heard unfortunate stories of, again, governments or individuals walking into many of these mining operations and shutting them down in one day. We know that in North America, that's unlikely to happen. We're seeing more and more regulation in that area. So to answer your point, sir, yes, there is competition, no doubt, from around the world. But what we're seeing, in fact, is a growth of movement more towards miners coming not only to Canada, but to North America in general. And in Canada, we have an abundance of hydroelectric power. So we're seeing, again, I think that that opportunity will continue to grow. I hope that answers that question. With respect to your question about our machines, we, again, the two largest producers of ASIC machines, we are predominantly a Bitcoin mining machine. There's also GPU units are from China. Bitmain is the largest. We do, in fact, purchase from them. Currently, what we're seeing is there is an abundance of machines out there that have been purchased, really looking for power and looking for a home. So we're currently right now identifying locations for power. Our new West Coast Marine Terminals, we've got another location in North America. We're hoping to create the picks and mortars and allow others to come and have their machines there. So yes, machines are being purchased. And what's also interesting, again, I believe, because this is such a new industry, you're seeing other companies start to come out and build. So this will create competition, which is healthy for the overall industry over time. So other miners are coming out there, and other manufacturers are being created. I hope I've answered your questions. I want to be respectful of the time, but I'm happy to take it offline, or if anybody else has questions. And again, thank you for the time.
That's perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation.